Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming to tonight's program, Stress and Insomnia, Breaking the Cycle with Dr. Somesh Kaushik. Doctor?
Welcome, everyone. We are going through a time where stress is at the peak for many of us. I see many people who are stressed about the circumstances, about first for the COVID, then after the vaccine and the effects of COVID, effects of a vaccine. Is it good? Is it bad? People staying home, they are stressed for some reason. And while they are staying home, which should be the best place to stay anyway, they're watching TV until late night and not sleeping well. And so basically, this is something even before the COVID, people had stress, always have stress. And insomnia is becoming a huge medical problem. Many people who want to go to sleep, they can't go to sleep, or if they go to sleep, they basically wake up multiple times. And then in the morning when they wake up, they are exhausted, they are tired, and that is affecting their daily routine, their work, their performance, and then naturally their health also. Stress is there, but sleep is one of the three pillars of life, where basically the diet and the sleep are the two most important, having a good diet and also having a good sleep. And what is recommended that all of us, again, an average adult requires about 8 hours of sleep, whereas adolescents and the teenagers require roughly 9 hours of sleep. Little more than that is good. And young babies, they sleep all day. So basically, the growth and repair happens during the sleep time in the presence of melatonin. So basically, the dark hormone, the darkness hormone, is important, and our body should be able to produce it by itself. And it also basically the effect of serotonin is also very important, but again, it helps in production of the melatonin, which actually at this point is being used by many practitioners, many individuals will buy those. But again, this is something which need to be used only in circumstances where there's a lot of pain, and we in the beginning used to use that for a lot of cancer patients because of the pain involved. But now it is becoming so common, and people will demand, well, give me melatonin, I'll feel better, sleep. Well, of course, sleep is important, but not at the cost of taking hormones, because if you start taking hormones, then the body will stop making its own. So we need to provide body the raw material, certain things in the food. If your body is not producing enough, then maybe we need to change our lifestyle. So basically, Ayurvedic medicine works with the ahar first, which is your diet, vihar, which is your lifestyle, and then comes the aushadhi, then comes the medicine. Medicine should not be the first choice anyway. There may be something in my diet which is causing me not to sleep. There's something maybe in my lifestyle which is causing disruption. And that's what we want to see today. What can be done to make this thing better? So the stress, we know that, is a state of disharmony. Again, everybody, like I said, have stress. Again, when we were young, the young age of 5, 6, when we were going to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, there was not much of a stress. It was just a place where we just play a lot and spend a lot of time with our friends and come home happy. I don't see that anymore. Little kids have so much of stress, so many classes. And so basically, when we see that stress starts so young in age, by the time they are teenagers, they already have many conditions which we used to see in older population, because older population is not the age, it is the number of years they were living under stress. And that's what we call the age-related symptoms or diseases, because body is beaten up every day with the stress. And by the time you go into 40s, 45, 50, then we call midlife crisis, because all the burden, the mountain of all the responsibilities on your shoulders. And then eventually things start going in the wrong way, because either we do not know how to manage the stress, or we do not know how to control ourselves so that we don't have much of a stress, because now everything runs on credit cards, and you can go and buy things and you keep ordering things, and then the bill comes, then you are into stress because now somebody has to pay those. So basically, the third pillar in Ayurveda, after the diet and the sleep, is the control of senses. as we are able to, or if we are able to control our sense organs, I want this, I need this. So basically, you keep into your limitations, whatever you really require, whatever you really need to have for a healthy survival, that's all you need. After that, all that is luxury. So three pillars basically is this control of senses, diet, and the sleep. So sleep is the topic today because we do need a good sleep. And if we have a good sleep, then everything else changes in a positive manner. Our performance is better, our daily routine is better, our health is better. The adaptive stress response depends upon a highly interconnected neuroendocrine, cellular, and molecular infrastructure called the stress system. Again, we have the stress system, and many of you have already heard this so many times. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. We can talk about all day about the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. So HPA axis have become so popular lately since people started understanding and the research started understanding the function of that. So it is basically a relationship between the HPA and the autonomic nervous system. So we know that. But main thing I'm trying to get here is the dysregulation of the stress system in association with stress can disrupt the body homeostasis, which is the balance, leading to a state of ketostasis or allostasis. Basically, that is what we need to understand here. Affects endocrine system, metabolic functions, which is metabolism, gastrointestinal system, and immune systems. So these four are here working together. And one more thing I want to mention, does not matter what system of the body is affected, the entire body is responding together. We are not working independently and just one organ at a time. All the organs are affected. When we have a stress, the brain, of course, is getting all the stress. The endocrine system is responding in a fight or flight mode. The metabolism slows down. GI, either if some people eat a lot or not work, or some people can't eat. So either some people feel so hungry because the brain requires more sugar and they keep eating. And some have diarrhea, some have constipation. People develop basically so many GI inflammatory conditions of the gut during stress. And basically we have heard so many, again, that's what I do every day. So I see many cases where they have ulcerative colitis because there was a stress history for a long period of time. And also eventually it will affect the immune system because when you're under stress, the inside repair is not done properly and then immunity goes down. But with that, the long-term stress also affects the cardiovascular system. And we do know the relationship of heart attacks or those. And we also know the nervous system where people have stroke. And we also know the kidney failure. Again, one thing in kidney failure is stress is the number one factor which affects the kidney function. But the physiology, how it does that is still unknown, even though there are many theories. But point here is every system of the body is affected by the stress. Again, stress is a response of your body, nervous system against any normal circumstance sometime. Again, that depends on how you handle it, how your body takes it. So that's where Ayurveda comes. Instead of taking medicine, what it's saying, if you are mentally strong and balanced, doesn't matter how stressful the event may be, you will be the one who will listen, look, analyze, and make a decision. If you can make a change, you will make a change. If you can't make a change, you will leave it like whatever it is because there's nobody can do anything, but not take a stress. You will think about the situation and try to get out of it, get an escape from it, be safe. And that's what we're looking at. And that is why we are talking about this event, this stress today. A response to stress causes physiological and behavioral changes. We know that. Physiological response is carried out through several pathways, such as an activation of sympathetic nervous system, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which HPA axis, we have known so much about this, behavioral fight and flight responses, which we know that's the first thing happening in stress. Chronic stress can cause maladaptive reactions, such as depression, anxiety, cognitive impairment, heart diseases. And then there is so much literature about those. So we'll not spend a lot of time on those. But something we have seen recently in last few months or a year, depression and anxiety was so high because of whatever we all were going through. And again, now we know that there is vaccine, the cases are going down. But again, that doesn't mean that we just ignore all the things which are happening around us. The financial job, seeing all the neighborhood stores closing, that is causing anxiety in many individuals, and that is some reason to be concerned about, but not anxiety. And anxiety and depression happen when there is a abnormality in the balancing system inside the body, where body is not able to create a balance and also able to handle the stressful events. Sleep, on the other hand, actually is really important, because under stress or anxiety, if we have a good sleep, our brain function, heart function, kidney function, and the entire nervous system is able to make a good decision and handle the situation. Sleep is necessary for survival and optimum physical and mental health. That is one thing we need to keep in mind, and that is one thing we in the West do not get enough. People sleep 4 or 5 hours because we stay awake because the watching TV or our favorite program is of most importance to us. Infants require about 16 hours a day, and we know that. First year of child, they keep sleeping all day, and then they grow like basically so fast. The first year of life, the growth is almost 10,000 times faster than the rest of the life. Baby grows every day. Teenagers need about 9 hours on average, where I see many teenagers and they will tell me they either are working on the computer or doing something or talking to their friends, and they go to sleep around 11, 12. Some will say as well 1 or 2-ish. Then in the morning they wake up groggy, tired, and this is the time to build their body strength physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so the sleep is really important. And we also know the circadian rhythm of the body, and we do knowing that, we know that between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is a time of repair. So by 9:30 we should be in the bed. So by 10 we should be in sound sleep. So we don't want to miss that window of repair between 10 and 2. So what Ayurveda says, that's the time of Pitta. All the repairs are done, and based on that, the body next day works optimally. And so in that time, if we are awake, and I know many individuals, um, when I see patients, majority of the people actually are not sleeping at 10 o'clock. And when all the family was at home during COVID time, now things are opening up. People will stay awake late because nobody has to go to work tomorrow morning, watching TV or doing something. And that was not the case when we got this time, even though we were not happy with this time. But this was a time to repair ourselves, to regenerate all the dead cells, to do all the corrections in the body, to take care of ourselves. I've seen many people have taken care of the home because the construction and the repairs were going high. But what about our own repair, rejuvenation, the detoxification? This was a time for that, and still time for many individuals. So infants require about 16 hours a day of sleep. Teenagers need about 9 hours. Most adults need 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, but varied with individuals' lifestyle. Some people require more and some people require less. But I have individuals who will tell me if somebody's exercising and that their diet is really balanced, they can still do good with 6 hours of sleep. But again, even though they may think they're doing good, eventually we are depriving ourselves of sleep, and then sleep debt we have to pay back. If we don't pay back the sleep debt, one day we basically just crash, and then we think we're in the bed for a couple of days. So it is very important to follow that. And keeping that in mind, we also know that if we don't sleep, and for some reason, doesn't matter what the reason is, we are finding this becomes the most common. Insomnia is the most common sleep disorder. But in the last 20 years, we have seen, if you look around and find, the number of sleep clinics have emerged so many, because it's telling this is a disease of the Western or modern culture. Modern culture, industrialization, and things available 24 hours a day. And there was a time, I'm looking at the old timing, when my dad used to tell that the town or the village did not have any power and the people were basically, as the getting a little dark, the birds coming home, animals coming home, they will light a oil lamp. And since the oil had to be purchased and there is not enough big tank in the house, when the people, all the family used to eat about 6:37, and by 8 o'clock, everybody's in the bed. And then when they wake up early morning, as the day got a little lighter, and they will go for a walk to the river, take a bath, come back. So people were healthier. Now we have the light, the power, and with that we have all these tubes running 24 hours a day. We're calling individuals all over the globe on our cell phone, or contact with the looking at the email, sending emails, or watching something important, but most of the time not so important, on television just to kill time. Well, that actually killing our time, and we do have a limited number of time. Is not, we are not immortal. And while we have this limited number of time, our number of years, or the days, those days need to be used for something productive, and so not to waste that. So about 60% of the people suffering never talk to their physician, because we assume this is okay, I just couldn't sleep. That need to be expressed and discussed with the physician as soon as you find out you're having difficulty in sleeping, or you are waking up in the morning groggy, tired, dragging yourself out of the bed. And even though I am exploring, there are so many new ways of having a wonderful morning. I used to think people will tell me I drink coffee, and after drinking coffee, I feel fantastic. Some will tell me they drink 2 cups of coffee, 3 cups of coffee, and after that, after 10 o'clock, they're fine until like 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and then they crash. But now I'm also hearing people, they tell me I feel very groggy, I drag myself, and then I smoke weed, and then after that, I'm fine. This is not the life. So then they are just smoking weed multiple times a day, and they're sitting there doing nothing. We are not trying to numb our body and the mind. We're trying to make the mind more alert. We're trying to make the body more physically able to perform the functions which we are supposed to perform. So in insomnia, the most common sleep disorder, 60% of people suffering never talk to their physician. 1/4 to 1/3 of general population reports having difficulty, under-recognized and under-treated problem. Basically, we don't just mention that. But we also need to understand, if body is not getting enough rest, every other organ is affected. So even though you may have digestive problem, ulcerative colitis, or inflammatory bowel diseases, or SIBO, any other condition, or you may have kidney problem, heart problem, but you need to also look at, are you getting enough rest? So these organs are repaired, and also they get some rest too. Chronic insomnia leads to impaired occupational performance and affects quality of life. Talking about occupation, there have been so many accidents reported to OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, when people don't have enough sleep and they're working on heavy machinery. So, and again, we also know there are so many accidents happen on highway when the driver slept on, basically went to sleep on the wheel, because they were driving thinking they will get to their destination just 30 more minutes or 5 more minutes. No, when you're sleepy, even a minute makes a difference. Even a second makes a minute. A moment makes a difference. When you feel sleepy, pull over and take a nap, or take basically an exit, go to a gas station, or go to a rest area, depending on the time of the day. If it's the night, go to a lighted area. But do not drive, because you do not know, not only your life, other people's life is also in your hands. So many accidents happen. So we need to make sure that we do sleep well, and then when we wake up in the morning, we wake up refreshed. We used to think this is basically an old age condition, because like I said, many individuals after 50, 60, 70, as we get older, they will have less and less sleep. Then with what Ayurveda says, the Vata age comes after 55 or 60. It means body starts drying up. And Vata, which is controlling circulation, also controls the nervous function, motor and sensory pathways. As that Vata becomes slow, the person becomes slow, and also the brain function, the resting stage, the sleep also become less and less, and the person is basically is staying awake. And other thing is, for that is, especially for men, the prostate start giving problem. They get up multiple times, go to the bathroom, and then they can't go to sleep. And so that becomes the issue also. So we're looking at the definition according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder, fourth edition, which called DSM-4-TR. Insomnia is defined as complaint of the following: difficulty initiating or maintaining sleep, early awakening, interrupted or non-restorative sleep. You don't feel enough restored, don't feel rested, don't feel, basically you're still exhausted and tired. So when you're looking at those things, just think how many times you have that problem, or somebody you know, or also look at, are you also in that category? And then we are here just to see what can be done. Many things which we can do just to correct those. Some factors: age up to 50% in people over 65 years old. Well, I'm getting there soon. Gender, more frequent in women. They have more stress, again, because of the hormones. The hormones fluctuate, even though men also have hormones, but female are more sensitive and responsive. Men sometimes don't respond because they are men. They think, well, that's nothing. And in that case, they have to pay for it later on. Stressful life events. Like I said, everybody has some stress in life. There's no one, I have not heard anybody yet who do not have stress. Everybody has stress. It is up to us how we handle that. And then depends on our mental and physical condition. Socioeconomic status. So it was something when I see people who were with a low socioeconomic status, they had more stress, more responsibility. Now I'm seeing also people who have plenty of everything have also a lot of stress, different kind of stress. People going to stress about the market going up, market going down, where to invest, where to, all these things. So everybody has stress. The type of stress we have changes depending upon who we are, where we are, and what circumstances we are going through. Basically, this marital status, more frequent in people who are separated, divorced, or widowed, especially in women. So basically, the loneliness creates a problem. Lower economical status also, and unemployed, unless there is a lot of unemployment paid by the government. Otherwise, when you don't have a job, definitely it is a stressful event, because you do want to do something, you want to be successful, you want to have a good job so that you can earn and support yourself and your family. And also it's a matter of pride when you are working. And so looking at the pathophysiological models, emotional stress and psychiatric disorders, there's a relationship. Medical disorders and substance abuse, we know that. Internalization hypothesis model, inhibiting and repressive personality. And that is something I see with many people, when they keep their emotions inside, never share what they're going through. And in that case, they're suppressing the personality, they are inhibiting what they are going through. And I see many individuals who, when they come to clinic as a patient, I ask them one question: how do you handle emotions or stress? Do you suppress yourself? Do you basically represent and explain what you're going through? Do you hold inside? So basically, many individuals who don't stand for their rights, who do not express their feeling, and they hold inside, I tell them it's like holding a fire. It's going to burn. It's going to damage inside. So internalization is not a good idea. Whatever you feel, your emotion, they need to be expressed, because when you go to bed with all these expressed emotions, you are mentally thinking about those during the night, blaming yourself sometime. How come I didn't say this? How come I should not have done? So basically then next morning, same thing. You don't have enough courage. You can't face the circumstances. In that case, when you are holding all these emotional stress inside, it will disrupt your sleep. And then if it continues for many days, your body gets used to it. And basically we call that insomnia. And then as some people will watch TV, they're in the lights are blinking in the room, and the dark hormone which is needed, melatonin, is not produced or not produced in enough quantity, and that's also we have a problem. But beside that, if there are other medical conditions happening inside the body, and some people actually do abuse different substances, then it becomes a more problem, either drinking or using any drugs. So you are altering the mind, and in that case, that is also causing insomnia. So we look at this vicious cycle, internalization hypothesis. So we look at the internalization of emotions, and that will lead to the emotional arousal. And now we look at the cycle: emotional arousal, physiological activation, insomnia, and then fear of sleeplessness. And that will come back to that. So basically, we're looking at this cycle, and this cycle actually needed a little more explained in this one also. We're looking at the hyperarousal hypothesis. And in this hypothesis, we see the cycle. We're looking at the emotional arousal, we're looking at the central nervous system arousal, and then we see what this causing. Both of these are causing the insomnia. So in the emotional arousal, we're looking at the depression, anxiety, internalization of emotions. So I have seen that sometime from childhood, many children, they will not express what they were going through. And it is up to the parents also to ask the child when they come home, how was your day? How was your school? And become their friend. And not like, just put your bag and make sure you put everything in the right place and you start shouting, and then you have some snacks and do your homework. You take 5 minutes to talk to them. Or if you are the one who are picking them from the school, then those 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes are your quality time to spend with the child, and make sure nobody is talking on the phone with some friend or somebody, because that is also something a trend I see. Cars have phone and people are just talking while they picked up the child. This is the time between you and the child. The reason being, many children feel lonely even though they are living in a family. They may have some issues with homework, with some friends, and if nobody is there to listen to them, and they feel that mom, dad are so busy, they internalize their emotional behavior, their feelings, and that leads to anxiety or depression. And that alone is plenty to cause disruption in this sleep pattern and causing insomnia. So the depression, anxiety, and the internalization of emotion, suppression of emotion will also affect the emotional arousal. Stressful event. Somebody died, somebody got sick, somebody's in the hospital, you can't go and see them. So many factors happen. Anything stressful also causes that. Fear of sleeplessness. Some people have this fear: I will not be able to sleep, I will not be able to sleep. And in that case, they are always living in fear, and that suppresses their immunity, and that is also causing emotional arousal. On the other hand, we have central nervous system arousal. We're looking at the genetic vulnerability. Basically, some people find that it is in our family genetically. But what I see, again, even though it is in the books, what I'm seeing in my 40 years of working with Ayurveda, that we are what we eat, or we are what we absorb. Sometimes when we look at the genetic vulnerability, because we are vulnerable because of how we have lived our life. So we are made of the food we eat. Whatever I'm eating, it is going to become part of my entire body. And as I mentioned in many my lectures before, whatever we consume, in 3 to 5 days, body extracts the nutrients out of it, or toxins, or whatever was preservative is that food, and will nourish my body fluid. Roughly 70 to 75% of my body is fluid anyway. So now, whatever good or bad was in that food is in my body fluid. Depending upon the metabolic energy or fire of the body fluid, in 3 to 5 days, extract of that fluid is going to nourish my blood. So whatever was in that fluid is now in the blood. In 3 to 5 days, depending on Agni or the metabolic energy and fire of the blood is going to nourish the body tissues. And then 3 to 5 days, tissues to body fat, and fat to bone, bone to bone marrow and nervous system, and then the genetic material, ovum and the sperm. So when we look at the genetic material, this is all made of what we consumed. There's nothing coming from outside. And when you talk about consumption is not only whatever we take through mouth. It's not the water, drinks, or the food we eat. It is also what we consume mentally, the thought process, what we are watching, what we are thinking, what we are discussing, what we are viewing, all those things is going inside the body, and whatever we are inhaling, that is also going inside the body. So whatever we're breathing, inhaling, all the toxins we are spraying everywhere. So all that, whichever we take inside, that affects our genetic vulnerability, depending upon how vulnerable we are, how weak we are. It all can, so it comes back to the food. Physiological sleep changes, again, comes with aging, comes with menopause, hormone change. So that is a normal, natural process of life. We do come, we grow, we become teenagers, then we become adult, we become little young adult, old adult, and eventually we become the senior citizens. And so that's a journey of life. We are not here forever. So some of those factors are there, but that does not mean that we become sick. That does not mean that we we have insomnia or we can't sleep. That means that those are natural processes, and we should change our lifestyle and diet based on our age, based on the circumstances, based on the disease, based on where we are at the time. So some changes are required, and that's why Ayurveda has become so successful in this journey, because with the change, with the season, with the body type, our diet is different. So as we are going from the stage of Pitta as an adult to the stage of Vata as drying up, wrinkles come, hair gray, then they start falling. So we can't run anymore that fast, walking slow, eating slow, metabolism becomes slow. So at that point, we know we should not be eating something hard, and we should be eating something softer. If teeth are giving problem, then of course, that's why we recommend soup. And since the Vata age is drying, we need to be eating fat, good fat. And that's why we talk about ghee or sesame seed oil or almond oil or olive oil. Not the heavy fat coming from the meat, because our metabolism is not strong enough to break down the meat fibers. So then we depend upon the protein, which is easily absorbed, either the whey protein or the pea protein or the protein coming from basically vegetable or plant-based diet, because that will be easily absorbed. So at that point, when we look at the physiological sleep changes, we should be looking at these factors of menopause, because again, hormone change, there's a normal phase, this is not a disease, and the aging. And then also we need to looking at the consumption of stimulants. I've seen many individuals who will drink coffee all day, but also after dinner. And I've seen that. I've been to go to get-togethers, parties, weddings. People will have great food, then a lot of desserts, and at the end, coffee and tea is served, and then we'll drink all the tea or coffee. So then, if you have coffee at 10 o'clock in the night, how are you going to sleep? The coffee, caffeine, is a stimulant, and so that becomes a problem. Same thing with the nicotine, and also there again many stress hormones people take. So all these things are going to affect the sleep, and that's why we are not able to sleep. Insomnia happens because we are continuously struggling to have a restful sleep. Sleep, we look at the circadian rhythm, changes in physical and mental characteristics that occur during the day. And looking at that, we know that basically, again, coming to the Ayurvedic lifestyle, we're looking at the 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the kapha time. Kapha is nourishing, building, and rejuvenating. So in this kapha time, we nourish the body, and we take about the middle of that, 7, 8 a.m. when the nourishment is done by breaking the fast, and we should have a healthy breakfast. And then same thing in the evening, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is again kapha time. And then in that case, we also take 7 to 8. So in the evening, we like to go a little early, 6 to 7. Roughly about 7-ish, we should have our dinner, and then go for a little walk, light walk. If not outside, because there's no walk in the house, for about 10 minutes, and relax. Nothing serious, just lighter things. So all the circulation can go to your digestive tract, and body is able to digest all the food you have eaten. Then 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the Pitta time. Pitta is a combination of fire and water, controls metabolism, is the heat, is the oven of the body, where the food is being cooked, extracted, and the nutrients are absorbed and then they are circulating the body. So the time for lunch is around 12ish. So basically when we look at 10 to 2, 12 come in the middle. So that is the time for lunch. And same thing in the night, same pitta in the night, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is a time for nourishment, time for repair. Whatever damage has been done to the body during the daytime, depending on our occupation. And even though we may not be doing anything hard, even with chewing, we do destroy hundreds of thousands of the cells in the buccal cavity, the mouth, oral cavity inside, and especially digestion, depending on what we are eating, what we're chewing. Many different functions of the body, which are normal routine, damage many cells die naturally. So this is the time when body is repairing itself. If that time is wasted, then the repair is not done. So pitta time is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Again, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the morning. So lunchtime is 12, and 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the night to time to repair. Then comes the vata time. Vata is connecting with ourselves, connecting with the universe. So that controls the circulation, the cardiovascular circulation, lymphatic circulation, motor and sensory pathways, which is the nervous system, depression, anxiety, the moving of the food inside the colon, the respiration, gas exchange in the lungs, gas exchange and the cellular level, filtration by the kidney, all of that, whatever is moving in and out is controlled by vata. So that is 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And that's why 4 to 5 a.m. we want person to wake up and do exercise, connect, and yoga or tai chi or meditation. There's a time to connect with yourself during meditation and time to connect with the entire body. When you're doing exercise, yoga, then you know which part is working properly, where is this hurting, where is not flexibility, and then you start working on that. Same thing in the evening, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So that rhythm, if we follow that as closely as possible, then the body, it will work according to the natural rhythm, and we'll know that we are following the nature and nature will support us. Also in that case, we're also looking at the food which are grown in the local area, so we become part of the local environment. Insomnia is a vata disorder according to Ayurveda, caused by the imbalance of vata. Vishma Agni, which means, again, Agni is of different types. Again, we have covered that in the past and we will continue covering in the future lecture. But when the Agni or metabolic fire is out of balance, then basically it goes through drastic changes, causing many abnormalities, including insomnia. So increase of Vata in Majja Dhatu, which causes hyperactive Vata in Majja Dhatu, can also cause insomnia. And so Majja Dhatu is the sixth Dhatu. So basically we look at the body fluid, blood, tissues, fat, bone, and bone marrow. So whatever is in the bone marrow that is what we are looking at, the Majja Dhatu. After that is only the genetic material, sperm or the ovum. So Majja Dhatu, if that Vata goes there, that will cause insomnia, because that part will control many metabolic function. So when you're looking at the treatment, we're looking at recognize health complaints related to sleep, identify environmental, behavioral, lifestyle factors, music therapy, and medication. So looking at those, we're looking at some botanicals which are found to be very, very useful in having a good sleep. We find passiflora, you can drink as a tea, and that is available. Ziziphus is also really good. Valerian, we know that is very successful in that. Bringraj, working with the liver. So depending on the cause, we look at the cause, if it's hormonal, or if it is environmental, or if it is because of the stress. So when we look at the stress, we look at the passiflora, we look at the Ziziphus, we're looking at the Bringraj, hormonal mint and chamomile tea. We look at the valerian. So depending on which one you are looking at, you need to realize that these will affect the body, but these are not drugs. These are herbs. They work slowly, but you don't get used to it. So something I have seen that basically there are many supplements available, but also there are many drinks available. I was looking at this tart cherry drink, and so tart cherry is really good, pure drink, nothing added, And with that, they are creating a variety of that with valerian root. So that drinking in the evening with dinner. So if I'm having dinner at 7 o'clock, again, I'm not an exception. Stress all day, see sick people, and I work 7 days a week. So in that case, I am staying busy. And again, family responsibility, business responsibility, patient responsibility. So I like to get a good sleep. Otherwise, next day I will not be able to enough justice with my patients because then I'll be not feeling healthy all day. So in that case, when I go to bed, I need to have a sound sleep. So this I usually take basically a tart cherry juice, or you call tart cherry relax with valerian root. And after that, within 30-40 minutes, I can feel the eyelids are getting a little heavier, go to bed, and basically I wake up in the morning refreshed. So again, this is not a chemical. This is not a drug. This is just a cherry and also a root, which is herbal, not getting dependent on that. So that is something we like to talk about. So these botanicals are useful, but again, and the other thing is, it doesn't matter who we are, especially I'm talking to the young generation, children who are in school, early college, adolescents, teenagers, anything which bothers you, you must discuss that with someone, possibly parents, because they are your best well-wishers. Sometimes you discuss with friends, and friends will show you a path which may not be that good path. Let's do this, let's smoke, let's drink. No, talk to parents, discuss with them. And basically, many times this is the internalization of the stressful event which you're holding inside. And even though if it's something you don't like about parents, you tell them this is something bothering me, or this is something I want to clarify. And that is very, very important. But before you jump to a conclusion to taking a drug, you should think the first thing should be coming from your diet. Let's change the diet and we should see the results. Second is the lifestyle. And then you look at the next thing, which is the medicine. Sleep hygiene is very important. What you do a couple of hours before bed. So it's suggested that whatever we are doing, that is still circulating in our thought process. And we know that when we are watching a television, the picture is basically changing or flipping 1/16th in a second, and it's going so fast, and also changing color, those different multicolors, and brain is interpreting that information, trying to make some sense out of it. And even up to 2-3 hours later, even though we have stopped the television, we are still thinking about it. Many times I've seen that we watch a movie and we're in the bed and we are still in the movie thinking about what might have happened, what could have happened, all these things. So it is suggested, if you're planning to go to bed at 9 o'clock, do not watch any television after 7 p.m. Preferably 6, but 7. But after 7, if you plan to go to bed at 9, if you're planning to go to bed 10, after 8 o'clock, no television, and also possibly no work on the sharp light. It means computer also. You have a long day to work, and after that, you can read a book and something calming, not something adventurous or something which is causing you anger, arousal, something. No, just something calming. What do you do when wake up in the middle of the night? Some people will walk to the kitchen and then they will start eating ice cream or something else, or turn on the TV for an hour or 2 hours, and then they'll tell me, well, I was up at 2 o'clock, then I went to my kitchen, I got an ice cream ball, and I start watching TV. Or some will say I like to potato chips, and about 2 o'clock I felt sleepy again, then I went to bed on the couch. Well, there is something you need to stop, because you don't want to make it a habit. You don't want to nurture to this habit. This is something abnormal. How long it takes you to fall back to sleep. All those things need to be paid attention. Also, how much light is in your room. So we do not want all these blinking electronics light in our room. We don't want, again, one thing, we don't want electronics anyway, period. Because the electromagnetic waves in those electronics are interfering with the electromagnetic waves of the brain. So I've seen children, including my own children, there was a time they will put their phone under their pillow. And so we had to tell them, teach them, convince them, this should be as far as possible. If you're using a cell phone as an alarm, then you keep it farther away from you. And now their alarm is so loud, even though if it's in the other room or hallway, you can still listen to that. Or I will suggest if you have a sound sleep, which is good, then you need to get this old time alarm, which had no electronics, and we used to wind them, and they were so loud. But again, only thing was you had to wind them every day, at least once. And so that is something very useful. No, not much electronics. Now we see in the household, we are bombarded with the electromagnetic field because by law, or maybe there are some regulation. One room have so many outlets. Every 3 feet, 4 feet, there are outlets. How many outlets do we need? Because we don't want to become lazy. We want outlet everywhere. Even if I want my desk, that desk should also have an outlet. The central island in the kitchen should have multiple islands, so multiple outlets. So all these mechanics which you use in the kitchen can be just hooked to that, those points. So all these things are also omitting electromagnetic field because they're open electric field. And so again, our body is a perfect conductor of electromagnetic field, interferes with our brain waves, which is very sensitive, and also our heart waves. So that is something you need to keep in mind. Also, it is suggested in Ayurveda to have a good sleep. The color or the paint of the room had to be very calming, preferably white or off-white. No red, absolutely, because red is a arousing color and you have difficulty in sleeping. So basically, lighter colors are the best. The bed sheet, bedspread, all these things on the bedding should always be also lighter color, not arousal, lighter colors, so that it becomes more calming. So all that is a part of the sleep hygiene. Make sure you do not drink even water before going to bed. So drink that 7, 8 o'clock, and then basically you don't want to wake up at night, especially people who are above 50, 55, 60, because then they keep, again, absolutely no caffeine in the night. After 6 or 6 p.m. should not be any caffeine. So that's why the evening tea was roughly 4:30. So after that, no tea. That should be enough caffeine. So that is very important. The supplement and herbs, Withania plex is actually found to be very, very important. So before that, I was talking about the serotonin level, also talking about some of the food. So in the food, all these green leafy vegetables are important, but I'm finding, like I said, this cherry tart or tart cherry, I found very, very useful. So number one thing, I think you should note that it may not be in my notes here or slide, the tart cherry juice, very good. And if you find that with the Golgi, with the valerian root, really good tool to have a good sleep. The reason I'm mentioning that here, because the wonder drug for sleeping is the melatonin. Our brain should produce melatonin, and for some reason, because of the underlying reason, because of stress, because of many things happening, we may not be able to produce enough melatonin. And that's why when you see Withania, Brahmi, Shankapushpi complex, they help body produce enough melatonin. So we are not giving direct hormones. When you start giving direct hormones, your body stops making them. Unless you have a circumstance where you do need that urgently, but try to minimize and then try to normalize your body. So these are some of the food which naturally have plenty of melatonin. Tart cherries number first. Also the goji berries. Goji berries have a lot of melatonin. Again, eating those doesn't mean you'll fall to sleep in the day. It all works with the natural circadian rhythm. When there is a darkness outside, with that darkness, the dark hormone is produced. It is not produced during the day. So, and in the dark, when you are in your room and lights are off, then is the produced the most. So in the evening, as the birds coming home, and we're also coming home for work or school, unwinding ourselves mentally, we are telling ourselves, I'm at my home, I'm relaxed, I'm going to sleep, and I will have a good restful sleep. Keeping that in mind when we go to the bed, that is the starting of that. You start thinking about, like when we start thinking about food, you feel more hungry. When you start thinking about a good sleep, you feel sleepy. So the tart cherries come number one. Goji berries are number two. They have plenty of melatonin. Eggs also have a lot of melatonin, including other things. It has protein, and so basically it is also a good source. Then the number four would be the milk. So milk also have good protein, but again, my suggestion would be to look for good real milk. If you can locate a farm near you, and farm, you want to interview the people who are there. They are not giving any hormones to their cows, and again, non-pasteurized, real milk, whole milk, that have a lot of basically melatonin, and that induces sleep. And if you are one who is making golden milk in the night with some saffron. Saffron is also a good herb, which also stimulates the production of serotonin, and eventually melatonin will be very, very useful. Fish also have a lot of melatonin. So basically a good fish coming from a good source, free of mercury, free of toxins, that will also be something good to introduce. Nuts are really good in production of melatonin, and also carry and contain a lot of melatonin. From all the nuts, the two I will mention here, which have more than others, pistachios have a lot of melatonin, and almonds. So pistachio will be number one, and almond will be number two. So the reason we are mentioning, if we have issues with having a good sleep, we can make this part of our life. Like I said, with the dinner, I like to get a glass of the tart cherry juice, and that gives plenty for me. Again, some people will use goji berries. If you are a person, even though we don't recommend cereal, but if you're a person who would like to eat cereal, put some goji berries there, or in your food or in your smoothie. People who eat eggs, then you can use that. Again, we do not recommend eating egg as a scrambled egg, because all the protein is denatured. So the sunny side up or half boiled is something will be good. And also the milk, of course, one glass or cup of milk, golden milk with saffron in the evening or morning or both, actually is really, really healthy and gives you enough to relax the brain. Again, brain needs fat, so a good source of fat is also important. So you're looking at that, the egg, the milk, the fish, the nuts all have fat, thus you're nourishing the brain also. And the nuts, like I said before, pistachios and almonds have the highest quantity. So that is something we need to use. When we're using those things, one more thing I like to mention in the plant-based thing, when you're looking at the St. John wort, which is Hypericum perforaticum, also have a lot of melatonin. So that's a good source of melatonin if you are trying that. So basically have one or two capsules twice a day, depending on your age and the weight. Feverfew also is a good source of melatonin, so start using those. If you're already taking melatonin, then you don't want to stop immediately. You may want to reduce the dosage. Again, good idea to talk to your physician. And then you may want to use some of these natural thing. Maybe you might want to use the tart cherry drink. Is a drink anyway. People drink juice, or goji berries, or golden milk in the night, and see how your body. Maybe a couple of days it will take to adjust, because your body is used to the direct ready-made hormone. And of course, anybody will do that, including your own brain. When you start getting ready-made food every day, and one day you are given this raw material, cook the food, you'll be irritated also. So brain has the same thing. It got used to the ready-made hormone, and when one day person says, well, I'm not giving you a ready-made hormone, no melatonin, you make your own, then of course it will be a little difficulty, but you'll get used to it. And adaptation, we know, is the number one quality of human beings. We adapt. As the brain find out in 1 or 2 or 3 days, this person is not giving me any melatonin, so I need to look for sources, and sources are given as the body is metabolizing the herb or the food and finding out it has the same effect. That starts coming handy, and we start using them. So finally, and also when you're looking at the vihar, like I said before, we want to go to bed before 10 o'clock, 9 preferably. We don't want to watch TV after 8 o'clock. And if somebody still have problem, then you may want to soak your feet in hot water in the tub for about 30 minutes before going to bed. And so after that, all the circulation basically calms down. And also wipe your feet. If you want to massage a little bit with the coconut oil, will be good before going to bed. That calms you down. Next thing is, you may want to chant, meditate. And I tell individuals, when you are sliding into your bed, at that time, if you chant or you take a deep breath, 10 deep breaths. So as you're sliding in, you take a long deep breath through nose. And as you're inhaling, you feel this is the life force, the prana, the chi in front of me. And that is going in my body. That's called pranayama. You're taking in the life force. It's going into my nostril. From my nose is going to my lungs, and all the life force is in my lungs. And the gas exchange takes place. And then this life force goes to my heart. And you feel that. And from there is going to the carotid arteries, going to my brain, going to my rest of the body. Just follow that. One thing it will do, it will detach you from the outside sources of disruption, the thought process which was going into your running in your body and the brain all day, some stressful event, something you just watch in the television, or something you were discussing with your family or the friends. All that is disconnected. Now you are connected with only yourself. And as you follow one breath, then the second breath, and the third breath, I can tell you with my experience, many of the individual do not finish the 10th breath. They're already gone. So attach with yourself. That is where the importance of meditation comes, when you are detaching from the environment and the surrounding and the universe, attaching with only yourself, right? So that is very important. Then we come to the supplementation. Like I said, not the first point. We always look at the food, then we look at the lifestyle we are, and then look at the supplementation. With Thenia comes the top. It does produce serotonin, balances the hormones, and from there it helps the body making melatonin. It is adaptogen, so it helps body adapt to the circumstances and the change. So we recommend, it's a combination of many herbs, and we suggest that somebody who is adult take 1 to 2 tablespoons twice a day, in the morning, in the evening, mix with half cup of water and drink that. So it's really calming herb, calming decoction. And I've seen really great results for anxiety, insomnia, depression. So many changes. Like everybody has stress, basically just helps the body to handle the stress. Brahmi is a brain tonic, and so does the Shankpushpi. These both are the brain tonics. So Brahmi is very cooling by nature. Shankpushpi is warming, depending on the body type. Sometimes we combine both. And someone who have a chronic anxiety or chronic depression, actually we combine all first three. I give Vithania because it will help adapt to the circumstances and the change. Whereas Brahmi and Shankpushpi are the brain nervous tonic, will nourish the nervous system, brain cells. And for some reason, if there are some toxins, it will also help removing the toxins. Complex is a combination of many herbs which calms the mind. Also a pentatone. So in this process, we also need to look at the organ which handle emotions. Like I said, we started with the emotions, suppressed emotions, unexplained emotions, when you don't express yourself. So in that case, what Ayurveda says, the organ which handles the emotions, anger, frustration, jealousy, whatever we feel, is all handled by the liver. Heptatone and Bhingraj are two herbs or herbal preparations which help the liver detoxify, which help the liver generate new cells, which help the liver strengthen, help liver detoxify. So make the liver strong enough to handle that stressful event, whatever you're going through. One thing I'm sure you know, that fatty liver is such a common condition in the West that we don't even talk about it anymore, because everybody has it. That's what we assume. Reason being the use of chemicals in the average household, use of preservatives, the ready-made food, the not healthy, so clean air, may not have that much pollutant, but again, the quality of air is not that great. And the water and the food. So water, we having many municipalities have these treatment plants where basically we are taking the sewage water, filtering it, cleaning it. It does not have the natural ability to nourish ourselves anymore, and because there are a lot of chemicals. So all these things are affecting the liver. So heptatone and Bhingraj are two supplements which we use to nourish. With that, the Bacopa Clarity Plex is also a combination of Brahmi, Withania, and many powerful herbs just to calm the nervous system. So people with anxiety or depression, children or adults who are autistic, they take this also. And also generally anybody who does the mental work. So what Arvind says, all the students who have a lot of homework and a lot of study to be done, a lot of memorization, Anybody who's a teacher handling all the students, anybody who's an attorney have to be the top of the law, because their one big wrong or decision can change somebody's life. So, and also doctors who people trust them for their life, and they have to be alert, and they have to be attentive, and they have to be sharp, so they can make a good decision for the patient, because considering all the circumstances. They can't say, well, oh my God, I didn't see that part, and you give something else. No, you have to look at everything. And while more than that, while the patient is talking, we should be able to listen with full attention, because many times patient does not write everything on their intake form, plus but they're telling you. So while they're telling you, they assume you're listening and you're writing, you're taking notes, but more than it's listening skill. So all these things recommended in Ayurveda, all these professionals must take Vithania and must take Bacopa glandiplex, because they need to de-stress themselves, and also they need to be in the sharpest phase of their mind so that they pay attention to what they're doing. Then comes the mint and chamomile tea, very good for calming down, also balancing hormones. In generally, when we're in stress, magnesium helps relaxation of the tissues, relaxation of the muscle. So we recommend 400 to 800 milligrams magnesium twice a day. Calcium is very important for many metabolic function, including the bone health, but also again same the copper. And with copper, I like to add zinc here also. So these two, copper and zinc, are really important for the stress management, for insomnia, and also for immune system. So when we talk about these, also we adapt some changes to relieve stress. Music is really good. Either if you are the singer, you just sing something to yourself. You don't have to be shouting, or don't have to be loud enough to disturb everybody's way of life, or talking to a friend, but talking about something positive, not something stressful. So when you're under stress, you want to talk to a friend who is a good listener and who is there to calm you down, who you know is a good situation handler and also problem solver, not a problem by himself or herself. Also, green tea, antioxidant, really good. Eat right, and eat right based on your body type, eating locally grown food, eating cooked by local people. So they are one of us and they know what they're giving us, not something coming from can, no preservatives, and not something coming from the chain stores, because their food comes from somewhere else they don't make there. Some of the restaurants I've seen, they're so tiny, absolutely there's no way they can make that food. It's coming in there from their storage, walk-in coolers or freezers, and maybe it came from India or China or Taiwan or Mexico or somewhere. And when it was cooked, who cooked it? God knows. So you don't want to stay away from that as much as possible. Local people. Talk yourself through it. If there is issue, you talk to yourself. You find a mirror, tell everything to the mirror. And also, basically, I've seen that if you are a diary writer, write everything. Take it out of your head, take it out of your mind, take it out of your chest, take it out of your heart, take it out of your body, put that into words, and later on you find a solution for that. Be mindful, be good, do good, helping others. I've seen in with my own experience, when you start helping others, most of the time you don't feel any stress. You're happy in that moment that God gave you this gift of helping others. And you believe me, my life had been very stressed. I came here, studied, worked, tried to prove myself. And there came a time I realized this is not worth it. And I started offering medical camps. And when I started offering medical camps, which are free of charge, of course, helping people who are not as lucky as we are and not as fortunate as we are, I found so much bliss, so much happiness, so much basically pleasure out of it. And the blessings of all these people basically was amazing. And so when we help a neighbor, help somebody who cannot walk, we just carry their bag to their destination, whatever we can do. Sometimes just talk to the person who is not feeling well, asking them how they are doing. Again, there are times when somebody is in the cold and you may want to buy them a coffee. Great, that will go a long way. Anything you can do for others. If nothing for humans, birds, pets, there's so many outside, especially in the snow time. Something to do positive for other creations in this world. Have a sustained purpose of life beyond oneself. That's what I'm saying, big purpose for life. And When I started doing this camp, realized that was a purpose, and with that we started supporting schools. And again, when we have a school, we teach Ayurvedic medicine, and many of the students go with us. Later on, somebody like to join us, welcome. You'll find that how healthy and how peaceful it is to help others who don't have what we have. So finding a purpose, that purpose could be anything, and that purpose will be found only by you when you are spending time with yourself, meditating, or just thinking only about your life, not about anybody else. And also exercise and yoga are very, very important. Different postures. Again, you're not trying to prove yourself by having a headstand. Yoga have 8 phases. We call Ashtanga yoga. So not only in poses or the asanas are the 5th phase. You don't want to stick to one phase only. Follow everything. Basically, you want to be truthful to yourself, to others, that don't steal. Be kind, be nice, and of course, you want to live a lifestyle where you are attached with things which are necessity and detached with things which you don't need. Something you can make, you work hard for it, you're attached. But again, other things you have not worked hard for, don't look at those. So basically, just be santush, just be happy with what you have. So pranayama, deep breathing is very important. Like I said before, every cell of our body requires oxygen. Gas exchange takes place in the gut, and many times anxiety happens when you're anxious, we don't breathe. And always says, calm down, stop, take a deep breath, you feel better. And we do feel better. So anytime we have that situation, deep breathing, pranayama, taking the life force is very useful. And I've used that technique for my patient when they can't sleep. So I tell them, slide on the bed, take a long deep breath through nose, hold it for a few seconds, exhale very slowly. And as you're exhaling, then you start following the breath from outside air through your nostrils, going to your lungs, lungs to your heart, from heart is going everywhere. And as it's flowing in your blood vessels and the arteries, you go with it, you flow with it. Then see, that will tell you where is the pain, where you can stretch, where you have some problem. The body will talk to you. So deep breathing is very important. More than that, the brain requires continuous supply of oxygen. You know that. So every other part of the body can survive, but brain, if you don't get oxygen more than 5 minutes or 6 minutes, the brain cells start damaging. So in that case, we do need pranayama, we do need oxygen, and that is very useful. Again, spend time with your pet. That is something I was keeping for the last, because I have seen with time, spend time with my pet is really a good time. If I'm going through some stressful time, I'm going through some hard time, if I have some stressful event, or I have something inside my body which I don't feel comfortable telling anybody else, I do talk to my dog, and he listens very carefully. You look at me like, don't worry, I understand what you're going through. So it's very important to spend time with your dog. Could be cat, anything, any pet. But thing is, that gives you peace of mind. If not, then you buy a mirror, and then you tell everybody everything to the person you see across the mirror. Take it out of your body. So keeping that in mind, some treatments are also useful so we change the ahar, the diet, we change the vihar, the lifestyle. Also then we took the supplementation, and now looking at the treatments, which we can do some therapies. Yoga is a therapy, chanting is a therapy, some people chant, meditation is therapy, and in the Ayurveda and in many countries, Shirodhara is a which calms the mind. Shirodhara is an oil drip which actually is flowing on your third eye. We call the place for pineal gland, and it calms the pineal gland. That will calm the pituitary gland, and pituitary gland is the master gland which handle all the other glands, so that balanced hormones are produced. And when the hormones are produced in a balance, then every function of the body is performed in a balanced form, in a form which is required. So Shirodhara is very, very useful. Many individuals who tell that I cannot sleep more than 30 minutes or an hour every night, and I'm struggling with it, I take all these drugs, nothing is helping. I have seen them during Shirodhara. Shirodhara usually about 45-minute session. After 15, 20, 30 minutes, I see them snoring, and becomes amazing. And then we don't wake them up. When they get good sleep, hour and a half or 2 hours, then they realize, oh my God, this was so amazing. No drug inside, is all external. But this place here where you have seen some people having a dot, that is the pineal gland. So the oil, usually sesame seed oil or Brahmi oil or ashwagandha oil or amla oil or blend of that we use depending on the body type, and that will be taken care of. But with all of that, one thing I like to mention at the end, if somebody have any pre-existing underlying condition which is causing the pain or insomnia, that need to be treated. Somebody have some kind of cancer, a lot of pain and fear. Somebody having issue with their cardiovascular system. Somebody who have lung problem, asthma, bronchitis, they go anxious when they get enough air. Or somebody have ulcerative colitis or some digestive issues where they can't absorb the full lot of gas. All these conditions will cause stress, and with that insomnia will come. So instead of treating insomnia at that time, you treat that cause first, take care of it. And with that, you will see as you are trying to heal the entire person, the body will calm down and there won't be insomnia. But one thing I will leave here with the note, the body is the best creation of nature or God, whoever you believe in, and is given to us. Is ultimate responsibility for ourselves to take care of it to the best of our ability. And so with that, I will say any question you have, you can ask. It's a little quote here. I decided to be happy because this improves my health. Because this is in our decision. If I want to be happy or want to be miserable. I take stress not only for me, but also for other people. There's no need. You think, and if something you can change, you change it. If something you cannot change, then what's the purpose of worrying about it? Because you cannot change it. If I'm short, I'm short. There's nothing I can do. I can wear a little thick sole of the shoes. I can get half inch out of it. But this is it. There's no solution for that. So whatever I have, why not make the best use of it? Why not enjoy it? So also one more quote from the Dalai Lama. He said, the most fascinating thing I have ever seen is a human being. They keep struggling and also fighting and arguing about the past. And they keep worrying about the future. And one day they die like they have never lived. And we don't want to be like that. We don't want to enjoy every day. So enjoy every day, every moment. And that particular day, you want to make sure you make the best use of it. And for that use, we have to make sure, keep in mind three things. The diet, what we put in this body, physically, mentally, emotionally, the sleep, and also the control of senses. Something which we don't need, we don't want it. Something which is toxic, doesn't matter how good it tastes, we don't want it. Something which is not safe for us, we do not want to go close to it because the life is precious. So with that, I will say thank you. Any question you have, please ask. And even after that, if you have a question, you can send me an email. The email address is there, drkaushik@drkaushik.com. My office is in Cross River, New York, and the phone number is there. First phone number is the office phone number. Second phone number is my cell phone number. And we used to mention that because I had an office in Manhattan, and that office was closed with the COVID. And so now the both phone numbers work in the Cross River office. I'm there Monday through Friday, all day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushik. That was a great program. So far, the chat is full of thank yous. Thank you, Dr. Kaushik. Every session is enlightening.
Thank you.
If anyone has any questions for Dr. Kaushik, please put them into the chat. I will be happy to read them out for you.
Looks like everybody's happy. Got everything they wanted.
That's rare. It's great, but it's rare.
So then you'll go home and have a good sleep tonight.
Sounds good to me. Oh, here we go. We got one. What is your advice for teenagers?
So for teenagers, because this is the age where they are changing fast, the peer pressure from school work, pressure from all the teams, all the friends. So that is there. And we know that. So and my advice is not only for teenagers, but also the parents of teenagers. So, like I said before, spending time with them, and the teenager need to express whatever they're going through to the parents. First thing they should do is look at what they're putting in this body. Again, we have been through that age also. Again, we were not grown up that big. So basically, we were there. Our children had gone through that process. So we are what we eat and what we absorb. So we do not want to use the food which may have a lot of preservatives, and also which may have some chemicals, basically a lot of cheeses. So cheese is supposed to be a milk product, but again, it has so many chemicals added to that to make that cheesiness. Milk is not sticky. So that's one thing. Second thing is not to stay awake until late in the evening. If someone already have that issue, so it is not an abnormality. So one thing you need to keep in mind, you are young, you're not broken, it can be reversed. There may be some circumstances, and many teenagers I have seen, they have issues because that's how they interpret them. One child I'm coming to my mind this time among many, very stressful, could not sleep, started wearing glasses, have inflammatory bowel disease, eventually ulcerative colitis, bleeding, and that's what brought him to me. When he came, he was 18. Problem started when he was 5 or 6. So he used to come with parents, great family, everything good. The child stayed quiet. I asked him a question. Ma'am answered the question. So one day I asked him, "Can you speak?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." So I told the parents, "You sit here and let me talk." "Oh, no, everything he prefers us." I said, "Fine, let me talk to him." So I take him to another room and I asked him, I said, "Whatever you have inside you, I want all of that to you to spit out. Just say whatever you want." "What happened?" So he started crying. He says, "When I was 3 years old, I used to see my classmates. Some were coming in good dressed up and some were not. And so I asked them, why you are not dressed up today?" And he says, "Because I came from my father's house." And so I realized that parents get something called divorce. And when they get divorced, then the child gets split. They're bounced between father and the mother. And he said, I asked my friends, many were in his class, he asked them, "What is divorce?" So one child gave a very clear definition. When parents fight, then they get divorced. And that stuck to his mind. He said, "My parents fight every day." So from age of 3, he was waiting for the divorce. His fear was he is going to be one of those children whose parents will get divorced, and because they fight every day. So I asked him, "Now, how old are you?" 18. "And how old were you at that time?" 3. They've not gotten divorced. It means this is how they make love. This is their journey. So they'll be fighting every day. They're not going anywhere. So in that case, now you're grown up, you need to retrain yourself. So then the treatment session turned into a counseling session. I had to counsel with him. Now it is your life. Their life is their life. Now you're 18, you're planning to go to college. All your life you have been bleeding because the stress was going internalized. You can't sleep, you're taking drugs, and is affecting your gut. We call gut feeling. He has feeling from his gut and so much inflammation. And so we start working with the counselor. So basically, coming back to the question, any child which have that circumstances, you need to realize whatever parents go through, there must be some reason, is their journey, but they still love you. And keeping that in mind, it is now your journey to take care of yourself. Anything you are going through, make sure you tell them. Food you put in your body, make sure it's healthy. The drinks you put in your body, make sure there is nothing to stimulate. There's no stimulant there. I mentioned many food which you can take. Smoothie you make. Smoothie, you can put glass of milk, which is very important for the bones, especially for females. If it's a female, if it's a male, all need the bones. We all need hormones. So good fat is important. And you put some saffron, which is also good for melatonin. Milk is good for melatonin. In the same drink, you put some turmeric, which is going to be helping in detoxification. Plus, you may want to put some almond. So that drink is your drink full of melatonin. Have one in the morning, you will not sleep in the daytime, it will give you a lot of protein, a lot of nutrients. And the same drink in the night after about 7:30, 8 o'clock will also help you produce enough melatonin, will get you good sleep. But make sure you are also active, exercise, walk during the day, spend some time with friends, good friends, not friends which are taking you to the wrong path. Also, with your family, somebody who is positive, somebody who shows you a path in life. And also, the most important thing is the breathing. Never stop breathing. So, continuously, deep breaths will nourish your entire body because oxygen is the ultimate reality which supports the life, every cell of the body. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushik. It looks like that's all the questions for this evening. So I want to thank you again for an excellent program.
Thank you. And we'll meet again soon.
Yes. And I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you so much for coming to this program. Have a good evening and everyone stay safe.
Namaste.